Moving swiftly on, we're going from one great talk from Russell into another one, and we're going to be joined by our track sponsors, App Annie. So Junde should be joining me any moment, and from there we're going to be flowing into App Annie's talk on the Global Trends track, our track sponsors. Hi Junde, it's great to have you with us. Hey,
Yeah.
how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Thank you. Where are you based at the moment? Where are you coming from?
I'm based in Singapore.
Oh, wow. Fantastic. Well, thank you for joining us from Singapore. Yeah, I bet you the weather's nicer there than it is here.
You guys in London?
I'm in Liverpool. We're all over the place. But yeah, we're all in different parts. Most of us are in the UK, but some of us are in different locations as well.
I was going to say it's the same. It's just raining here, so it's pretty much the same.
Well, yeah, it's the same then. But yeah, just want to say thank you for being here. I'll let you get your slides set up, everything like that, and I will remind everyone, though I'm not sure I need to remind everyone, but remind everyone nonetheless, throw your questions into the Q&A. I'll be back at the end to go through. I'd like to say all of them, but as many as I possibly can. So please throw all your questions in. And yeah, over to you.
Okay, thank you, Sophia. So hello, everyone. Welcome to the App Annie presentation, and thank you for joining us here today. So my name is Junde. I'm the General Manager of Gaming at App Annie. I've been at App Annie for more than 8 years. So currently based out of our Singapore office, which is one of our 15 global offices. So throughout my career, I've worked with lots of game companies globally across the market data analytics space, and also in social demand and monetization. So really excited to be here today to share the latest insights on the world of gaming. So before we get started, here is a quick disclaimer about our data and analytics and our presentation. Okay. And here's our agenda today. So we will start with a simple introduction of App Annie, and then we'll go through some high-level market trends, some marketing use cases, and then we'll dive into some gaming use cases with our latest product, Game IQ, and end off with some summary of key takeaways. So first, a quick introduction of App Annie. We are the mobile performance standard, providing the most accurate and complete set of mobile market analytics to help companies succeed in their mobile business. And these are some of the global customers who trust in our data, products, and teams. So let's get straight into it. We are in the new normal. Okay, we are at about 1.5 years since COVID hit. And you can see that globally, although games downloads and time spent have dipped a little bit since the peak of lockdowns, they are still sustaining at a higher level, which is about 25% higher than where we were pre-pandemic. And if you were to look at consumer spend right in the middle, this just continues to grow. Despite cities reopening up, despite IDFA, we are still almost 80% higher than where we were pre-pandemic. So our industry, the gaming industry, is growing and is moving forward. Next, let's take a look at where this growth is coming from, specifically in the EMEA market. So in the first half of 2021, game downloads market size are led by the biggest market, Russia, followed by Turkey, which is at number 2. And Turkey, number 2, continues to grow at a 6-month growth rate of 13%. So this is downloads. What about consumer spend? So consumer spend. This is led by Germany and the UK, which are both still growing strong. The highlight market here is again the Turkish market, which was at number 2 with downloads. And here they are at number 7 with revenue rank, but with a huge 6%, 38% 6-month growth. So with that, we'd like to next present the top performing EMEA headquartered companies, gaming companies in the first half of this year. So firstly, top companies by downloads. Most of these companies are here with huge contribution from the hyper-casual games. Next, top companies by revenues. This features a variety of companies with different strategies. For instance, Playrix and Moonactive are well known for the innovation on hybrid genre games. And Supercell is a pioneer that kills a ton of games and only publishes the very best games from its studios. And Playtaker is a casino games giant that has also been expanding into Match 3. And Stillfront They're unique for their M&A driven growth strategy. Okay, next, let's look at some of the biggest, let's look at how you can optimize your marketing performance by looking at some of the marketing strategies of other companies. So first, we look at some of the biggest casual games and how they advertise. So it doesn't get bigger than Candy Crush Saga. And with these huge titles, we want to understand, of all the creatives they've tried and tested, which are some of the creatives with the biggest budgets and how are they different from other creatives? So here are 3 video creatives that Candy Crush Saga used in the US on AdMob. Okay, so I'm going to play them.
Where do you play Candy Crush? I'm playing all over the house. Candy Crush Saga is free to download.
Sweet. Okay, so you've seen these 3 video creatives. Which one do you think has the highest share of advertiser? Which also means it has the highest impressions and possibly the highest budget from the advertiser. It's this one. The first one on the left. Sorry, the one on the right. Okay. And if we were to analyze the unique points about this ad creative, so this particular one compared to the others, this has more of an explicit candy theme. Also, it shows simple level progression without any narratives, and it lets the animation do the work. Okay. And it also has exciting stage ending moves, and each stage just lasts around 5 seconds. Next, let's try another one. So from Candy Crush, we move to Roblox, which is kind of the 2 different ends of the gamer demographic. All right, so let's play the three videos. Okay, let's do this again. So which one do you think has the highest share of voice? It's this one. And this time there's just one simple and prominent difference. This is, instead of gameplay, this is just focused on character customization. So customization is a big theme, especially for the Gen Z players. Next, for marketing, another way that you could optimize your marketing performance would also be to look at the popular keywords. Keywords are becoming an increasingly important part of user acquisition for games, especially on the iOS platform. So here's a view of the top gaming related keywords by search volume in the UK. Some of these are branded keywords like Roblox, Minecraft, and even Fortnite, because Fortnite is not even available on the Apple App Store right now. These are keywords that you can bid for with such ads. Okay, and some other more organic keywords like car games, among, score, and solitaire. These are words that you can also optimize with ASO so that you can rank higher amongst these search results. Okay, next, let's dive into genre trends. These genre trends are powered by App Annie's latest Game IQ product, which features a granular taxonomy of games. So for instance, with the existing App Store taxonomy, we used to say that, puzzle games are growing. That's it. But now with App Annie Game IQ, we are able to classify every game by its granular subgenre. And this results in much more granular market sizing. So for instance, you used to say that, puzzle games are growing, we should build a puzzle game, but what puzzle game should we actually build? And, so it depends on what you are good at. Are you good at monetizing from ad monetization, or are you getting good at getting in-app purchases? Okay, so here, for instance, under puzzle, we've broken it down further into granular subgenres like this. And now we can say that, what games are the biggest by users and revenue. Tile matching games have the second most users, but actually they don't have high revenue. They have relatively low revenue. And actually the hidden object games here, they actually have some of the highest average user time spent and highest ARPU. So with that, let's take a look at the granular top subgenres in the current global and European market. So firstly, by downloads. So we show the top subgenres, followed by the year-on-year growth rate and some of the top games in each subgenre. So by downloads, this is globally driven by quite a number of hyper-casual subgenres, okay? And also quite a number of these top downloaded subgenres are actually decreasing in H1 total volume compared to the prior 6 months, except some like action hyper-casual, which is still growing very well, okay? There's also not too much difference between the global and the European top subgenres because most of these hyper-casual gameplay transcends languages and easily appeal to a global audience. Next, let's look at the top subgenres by revenue. So globally, this is led by 4X Match Battle, and the rest of the top 10, they are dominated by mainly RPG and match games. Okay. Also noteworthy is the creative sandbox subgenre at number 10, with the highest growth over the past 6 months. We also note that something unique in Europe is that match 3 games, luck battle games, and farming simulation games tend to monetize better than they do globally. Okay, so aside from a granular taxonomy, GameIQ also features deep tagging of features inside of games. So one question that we get quite often from customer product departments when they see a new top grossing game or when they see a competitor's app overtaking them in user engagement, they would ask, how exactly did they do that? So we launched deep feature tags to help product teams quantitatively break down the product features that result in the game's success. Now let's take a look at one use case. So here we've chosen a few top strategy games in the US and we compared their day 30 retention. So we see here that Clash of Clans has the highest numbers, while this game, Star Trek Fleet Command, is number 4 amongst these top 5 games for day 30 retention. However, if we were to look at average time spent per user over the month, Star Trek Fleet Command actually scores the highest by far. And if we look at RPD, revenue per download, which is similar to ARPU, it's also the same. Star Trek Fleet Command here is the highest by far. So what is Star Trek doing to result in this? I think it's critical for product teams and any core games developer to learn from this if they would like to increase their engagement and increase their ARPU. So before deep tagging, we would have just stopped here. And the user analyzing this would have to download the games and manually investigate what the differences are. But now with App Annie's feature tags, we're able to look into the specific engagement tags inside of these games. So here we can see, if we compare just COC and Star Trek Fleet Command, that COC stops at tasks and some events. So these are some of the engagement features that both of these two games share. But now let's look at the differences. Star Trek has implemented a number of other more engagement features like periodic login rewards, incentivized multiple sessions per day, cumulative task rewards, and so on. So when we correlate these features to the data we saw previously, what this seems to suggest is that by implementing some of these heavier engagement features, they may not retain as many newly installed users after 30 days, but for the users who remain, they tend to spend more time playing and spend more money as well. So this is some of the insights that we're now able to draw by combining feature tags with App Annie's data. Next, let's also take a look at 3 of the biggest Battle Royale games: PUBG, Call of Duty, and Free Fire. So specifically now we look at day 1 retention. Here our data estimates show that for most of the past 6 months, Free Fire had the best day 1 retention. Now, what affects day 1 retention? So here we present first-time user experience videos. So firstly, you can see here that this is Free Fire, and you can see how Free Fire has a different fatui. Firstly, you can see here that the full tutorial with guided gameplay ended in just around 4 minutes. and the player was able to finish playing the game as per normal gameplay without any gameplay guides, just 4 minutes on. And also the full-length gameplay by our analyst, who actually managed to be the last surviving player in the round, took 14 minutes, close to 15 minutes. This is contrasted with the other games that took a lot more time. So not a lot more time, but PUBG took around 30 minutes for the game to end. Okay. The other apparent thing is that in Free Fire Fatui, they skipped most of the customization and engagement mechanics and focused mainly on just gameplay, while the other two games incorporated steps like account linking, customization, opening of chests, and IEP offers. So these are possible case studies to look at to see how Fatui affects day one retention and how you can optimize your own game. So we've gone through two examples of how App Annie's intelligence data could be correlated with in-game features deep tagging from GameIQ to help product teams optimize monetization, retention, and engagement. And with that, we've come to the end of our sharing today. Okay, so, and here's a quick summary of the main points today. So firstly, mobile games consumer spend continues to surge, okay? And secondly, there is continued growth in Turkey in both downloads and revenues, although they are already number 2 in EMEA for downloads. Next, the hyper-casual subgenre dominates downloads, whilst RPG match dominate revenues. And finally, with our new product, App Annie Game IQ, you can finally correlate game performance to game features. So that's it for our presentation today. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your support of App Annie over the years, and have a great day ahead.
Oh, thank you, Junde. That was a really fascinating talk, and we've got a lot of questions that have come in. So if it's okay with you, I'm going to dive straight into the questions, and we'll just see how many we can get through in the time we've got. So the first one I've got is, you say that Gen Z loves character customization. Do you think it's worth brands incorporating this as a function into their mobile games? Is it a fairly easy way to entice an audience?
I think for Gen Z, no. They have very little attention span. If they don't like something, this just, you know, it's like TikTok, the TikTok generation. They spend a lot of time on TikTok, but 2 seconds into one TikTok video, they don't like it, swipe up. So I think there has to be two things. Firstly, content that engages them, and you need a big enough community, and like stuff like Minecraft, Roblox, they're able to capture their attention, and same for TikTok. So I think it's not so much a hardcore community like you had the hardcore games where I think our generation plays, but they're a lot more about meaningful content, meaningful exchange, and yeah, I think that they're less about, you know, differences between you and me, just you know, just contribution and user generated content.
Yeah, great. And next one is this the first time Playrix has surpassed Supercell?
Well, this one I have to look into the data to really look at it. But I mean, you think about Supercell, they've been so demanding and critical of their own games. They've not released anything until Everdale recently, right? So I think they've just taken their time. And because they have maybe a smaller number of games, it's not surprising that they could possibly fall behind for a little bit.
Yeah. Is there anything happening in the market right now that is particularly exciting for you? Like, what is it you're excited about that's happening?
Well, that's lots, and I'm always trying to predict what's coming next, you know. Well, you firstly, you got all the things that are changing in our world. There was IDFA, and there's, you know, the Singer is acquiring companies, and there's you got Adjust and App11. You got all these consolidations happening in this industry. So it's interesting to see what's going to happen next. And also you got the Epic and Apple ruling. There's so many things are happening. That's also NFT play to earn, but that one really depends on the Bitcoin price next week. So yeah, I think all these have the possibility of becoming huge, becoming big. I think we just have to stay close to the data, stay close to our friends in the market, and just see what's really taking off, what's not taking off, and so on. Yeah,
and people are really interested in the Game IQ feature. So we've got two here about this. So Chris, Steel Media's very own Chris, has asked, said there's some brilliant data in Game IQ. How deep does it go? Obviously, it's hard to cover over 1 million games in this way. Do you focus, for example, on the top 1,000?
We definitely do. We do employ a professional team of analysts. So they are all folks with at least 2 years of working in the either gaming or analyst space. So this is done manually. This is not done with AI, and so that's why we focus on the very top games. So yeah, we focus on top 500 to 1,000, but we do think this is representative of what's moving the game industry in terms of what features affect which KPIs and what new features are coming up. Like previously, 6 months ago, like multiplayer in hyper casual games was maybe just 5%. Now it's maybe, I don't know, I haven't checked data, but 20% of hyper casual games is multiplayer. These are some things that you could also take a look at. So yeah, we think that the top 1,000 would definitely be representative.
Yeah, and keeping with the IQ feature, another person's written, this IQ feature looks really powerful. How is the data for things like features accumulated? Presumably that's not just from raw data, So, and talking about what you just mentioned about the teams, do you have teams playing and mapping each individual game, or is it done as a group activity? How does it work?
So, some of it we do with with code, with machine learning, with AI, like what subgenre is this, what theme is this, and so these kind of things we try to go faster with code. All right, but playing the game, recording the videos, all these are done by our team of analysts.
Yeah. Fantastic. Someone's putting, we were talking about Gen Z before, but another person said, have you found a growing older audience in gaming? Is this a potential market that we should be tapping into?
Totally, definitely. So a lot of them are playing in a Candy Crush, Homescapes, Gardenscapes kind of games, and also some casino games. These are things I can remember off the top of my head. And not just older audience, but also more females as well. And that's across generations as well. So that's something that we saw really becoming a trend, especially during since the pandemic. I'm not sure how many of them still play, but there's definitely been much higher low, as in this much bigger gamer base of older of the Gen Y and also Gen X, Gen Y, as well as female gamers. And not just that, there's also, like if you think about a lot of Playrix games and so on, they're a hybrid of genres. So they're able to attract, people who are in between casual and core, and also people who are in between generations.
Yeah, and talking of like new markets to tap into, someone else has written, do you see any new genres breaking through in the near future from your data?
Well, that's there was that one slide that we showed top global subgenres. Hyper casual, especially for action, hyper casual was one of the top and still continues to grow. And in terms of those, which is what is growing by revenue, the creative sandbox games. That's definitely something, but of course, not any company can come up with a huge production like Roblox or Minecraft. So there are other, if we go back to look at that particular chart, there should be other subgenres that are worth looking at as well.
Yeah. So changing topics ever so slightly, you talked a lot about the Turkish development market, and there's two questions about this, but we can sort of blend them together. So basically saying that the Turkish development market is really hot right now, but it's surprising to see the consumer market is also so strong. Are these two factors connected? And on that point, do you think Turkey and the Turkish market can take much more of the European market over as the years move on?
So I'm not an expert on the Turkish market, so I'll just try to answer this, from what I know about market data and what I've seen happen in similar emerging economies in Asia. So firstly, Turkey has a big population, so that's a base requirement for a big market, right? And these days, even the Android phones are very cheap and very powerful, so you can definitely still run top quality games. I mean, even in India, we see some of the battle royale games emerging as some of the top games. So battle royale games, require huge network bandwidth to play online, but they are some of the top games, and even in India. So that's today's phones are powerful and cheap enough to let consumers, even in emerging economies, enjoy the best games. So that's no longer an issue, including network infrastructure as well. So the huge market size would cater for huge potential. And so other than that, I think another thing is that I think maybe Turkey traditionally has not been a gaming supply powerhouse like compared to the US or UK or China, but they do have heavyweights like Peak, who has done well enough to be acquired by Zynga, I believe. And so I think with that culture, they are possibly able to also spearhead some of the development of the local consumer industry. So that's the second thing. You need some local recognized giant companies to take the lead here. And the third thing I see in Asia is that, so firstly, you always first spike by downloads and grow huge downloads. And then what changes the game for monetization is, I think, generally two things. One is ease of payment. Okay, so actually in Asia, the developing economies in Asia, it's not so much that these guys don't want to pay for games or they don't have money to pay for games. They do. It's just that a lot of them do not have a Visa card. That's it.
Yeah.
So when Google Play or some other platform or Apple or whatever works with more localized payment gateways that everyone already uses, which now with the pandemic, lots of ride hail, lots of mobile payment are very, very widespread right now, then that could unlock gaming in a huge way. Gaming payment in a huge way. And the last factor I've seen happen around, I mean, I was actually living in China for a long time before this when gaming exploded there. And I think what happened first, initially there was just a lot of heavy and core games monetizing. What happened later was that WeChat was huge and WeChat had WeChat payment, and WeChat introduced first casual games that everyone played, everyone looked at the leaderboard together with their friends. And because casual games had a huge gamer base, and when WeChat was able to unlock monetization, even if it's very, very small monetization for casual games, people started paying on mobile, and that was just unlocking of everything else.
Yeah, it's a really good point, especially with like what happened with WeChat in China. We've got time maybe for one, maybe two more, but someone's written a lot of games which are have been popular for a long time. How can smaller indie games break into the top end of the market? Is there any, I know that's a massive question, that's a whole topic, but from your analysis, is there like maybe one key thing you notice for those that do break into the top?
Yeah, so I think you have to look at what your strengths are. If you're a small developer, do you really want to spend 3 years building a Roblox or building a Genshin Impact? And I mean, if you spend 3 years and then what happens 3 years later, maybe there's new next big things. So I think you have to look at what you're good at. Are you good at, for instance, you're good at ad monetization, or you are good at, let's say, casual games, and you could put out a new casual game every 1 month, and they would just have a lifespan of LTV of small LTV. But because you have a small and agile team, you could put out new games every month. So, and still leverage a little bit of cross promotion. That's one potential strategy. Or if let's say you're looking for a specific publisher, look at what Zynga likes, look at what AppLovin likes, look at what Supercell likes. I think that's something to also look at. I mean, you want to leverage the help from a bigger publisher as well. But so you have to play to what kind of metrics, what kind of specific KPIs they look out for. They look out for your ARPU, they look out for your D1, Day 3, and so on. So I think these are potential ones. Unless you are extremely creative, then of course hyper casual is one area where it transcends languages. You don't need to translate to every language. You can get lots of global users.
Yeah. Oh, well, thank you so much, Junde. We got through nearly all of the questions, but we got through a lot. So thank you for staying for this extended Q&A session as well. And thank you for an amazing talk, and for App Annie's support for the Global Trends track. Thank you. Yes, Chris in the audience as well. Thank you so much, Junde. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Oh, a really, really great talk from Junde. I mean, fascinating, going into all the insights, and I think you'll all agree. I'm basing that off the chat that's going on, the Q&A that's going on, and so a massive thank you to App Annie for sponsoring our Global Trends track and making it happen.